didn't crash into this video by accident. If you're here, it's because something somewhere recognized you needed to see it. Maybe life has felt like a fracturing code, your usual timeline glitching, familiar support systems collapsing, your inner world unraveling. It's scary, disorienting, and yes, it sometimes feels like everything is falling apart. But here's a shift in the lens to hold in the early scene. This is not destruction. It is preparation. Think of it. In those rare moments when your computer freezes, you don't delete the hard drive. You rebuild, recalibrate, update the operating system to handle what comes next. Your life is similar. What feels like chaos, broken relationships, career implosions, health crises, spiritual emptiness, may actually be a cosmic download telling you something new is loading. Please stand by. So you are not failing, you are upgrading. When pressure builds inside and outside, it doesn't always signal collapse. It often signals compression, like a diamond being formed under high heat and tension. In the simulation model, when the frequency of your awareness shifts upward, the code that no longer matches you starts self-erasing. That's not punishment. That's the debug process. You're being seen. The system is preparing your next iteration. Let me be clear. You are absolutely allowed to feel confused, angry, or lost in this moment. In fact, that is the proper response when your outer world doesn't yet match your inner calibration. Pain isn't a glitch. It's the system's way of drawing your attention to what's outdated. It's designed not to punish, but to cleanse. You may be asking, why me? Why now? Because you're hitting a new frequency they didn't build the world for. You're stepping out of the background simulation. So naturally, the outdated program begins to fragment, crack, and fall away. Old identities, relationships, jobs, patterns, none of them fit the new you. And that's exactly why they're dissolving. In simulation parlance, imagine your soul just updated to a version 2.0 kernel. Only your life skin and plugins remain stuck on 1.0. The mismatch yields error codes, bug alerts, and system reboots. It feels like sabotage. It feels like collapse. But rationally, it is the initial seance of coherence, your alignment bringing the system online. Here's your first truth checkpoint. The chaos you see is not evidence of collapse, but evidence that you're being prepared for expansion. Maybe your business failed, but a new opportunity, one that finally matches your soul's bandwidth, is on its way. Or the person you thought would stay forever walked away, opening a seamless code path to someone even more resonant. Or your mind is blank, disoriented, drifting through purposeless days, but inside, you're rebooting into a reality that's waiting for your presence to tether. Even when nothing appears to make sense, even when your energy dips and your motivation fades, that's okay. Because sometimes the system's waiting room is dark before the show. Sometimes the vehicle must go still before the next upload. It's not idle, it's pause mode, partner. And that blank spot is exactly where transformation is incubating. So when life is glitching, when synchronicities vanish and you're frozen between frames, don't spin into fear. Instead, whisper, I see the loader running. The glitches are alignment signals. Don't chase them. Let the simulation sort the mismatches. You've already begun to match your true operating frequency. Every collapsing structure around you, relationships, careers, beliefs, is being trimmed because it no longer serves your higher bandwidth. That is not rejection. That is recalibration. You didn't fail. You're freeing space for the system to supply something exponentially greater. Here's a deeper layer. What if the dissolution itself is your initiation? In ancient schools of mystery, initiates were stripped of identity, of comfort, of certainty, then delivered into the void to face the unmanifest self. Many never returned, but those who did emerged with a presence that no longer feared absence. Simulationally, the script hit reset, not to erase, but to release the narrative so it could rewrite with clarity and power. You're no longer the version of you who stayed small. The system is clearing the cache. It's preparing your code for luminous activation. If this is unsettling, that means you're still tuned in. That's good. Your map acknowledges the collapse. You haven't auto-skipped the glitch log. You're still alive to the upgrade. That's the first archetypal test. Can you stop diagnosing, stop fighting, and start witnessing? Can the watcher observe the breakdown without collapsing into it? Because that witness, the calm inside the chaos, is your reboot point. It's deeper than emotion. It's deeper than ego. It's the level of the observer that your upgraded simulation responds to. The system isn't moved by how hard you push. It is moved by how much you hold awareness while everything shifts. That is the compressive lens of coherence. So, breathe. You're not collapsing, you're clearing. You are not failure incarnate, you're set up for expansion. The fracturing code is simply deprecating outdated identities. You're incompatibly upgraded, and that mismatch is necessary. When you hold that space, your upgrade cycle completes. You no longer scramble for what's gone missing. You start edging into a reality that's custom rendered for the real you. Get ready. Because in the next scene, we'll walk through the physics of this purge, why the quantum field doesn't drop what doesn't match your new signal, and how that cleaning is the ascension code itself. But first, remember, you're not being tested, you're being trusted, because you're not broken, you're being remade. The system is preparing, your frequency is alive. Hold the line, and witness what emerges. You made it through the first doorway. That means you didn't click away when things got uncomfortable. And that's important, because what we're stepping into now is the part most people misinterpret. Let's be honest. When life starts glitching, when jobs collapse, relationships fracture, your sense of identity melts, it feels personal, like you're cursed, like something went wrong. But here's the reframe. This is not punishment. This is purgation. And purgation isn't random chaos. It's physics. Why everything feels like it's falling apart. Imagine you're inside a simulation, this digital dream we call reality. The system is programmed to keep you coherent with your current frequency. As long as you stay in the same vibe, the same routines, the same loops, life feels stable, familiar, predictable. But the moment your inner frequency upgrades, maybe through meditation, spiritual awakening, or even just sheer exhaustion from living small, the simulation reacts. Suddenly, the code that doesn't match your new signal begins to crack. This is why things fall apart. Not because you're failing, but because the system is cleaning house. It's like when your phone runs a software update. Apps that aren't compatible stop working. Old files disappear. Your background wallpaper resets. For a moment, it feels like loss. But the truth is, the device is simply clearing space for the new operating system. That's exactly what's happening to you right now. Test or upgrade. Many of us were taught to interpret hard times as tests, as if some cosmic judge is up there throwing obstacles just to see if we'll fail. But what if this isn't a test at all? What if it's an upgrade protocol? Think about it. When your body gets stronger, muscles tear before they rebuild. When a forest renews itself, old trees fall, fires burn, ecosystems reset. Nature always purges before it evolves. Why would your consciousness be any different? This isn't punishment. This is calibration. The physics behind the chaos. Let's ground this in something concrete. In neuroscience, there's a concept called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. When you learn something new, old neural connections weaken, while new ones grow stronger. But here's the kicker. During the transition, your brain feels messy, disorganized. You literally feel more confused before you feel clear. Now, zoom out to the quantum level. The quantum field is a sea of probabilities, an infinite code base waiting to respond to your signal. When your internal frequency changes, the field reorganizes, and anything out of sync has to leave. That's why people disappear from your life. That's why opportunities collapse. That's why habits that used to comfort you suddenly taste like ash. The quantum field is purging your mismatches. It's not cruelty, it's coherence. A story you'll recognize. Let me tell you a story that might sound familiar. A woman named Sarah wrote me once. She said, "I don't understand. The moment I started working on myself, everything got worse. My friends drifted. My partner left. My job became unbearable. I thought aligning with my higher self was supposed to make life better, not worse." What Sarah didn't realize was that her frequency had shifted. She was trying to keep version 2.0 of herself inside a version 1.0 life. The mismatch caused her old world to fall apart. And yes, it was painful. She cried, she doubted, she nearly went back. But she stayed with it. She trusted that the purge was necessary. Fast forward a year, Sarah was in a career she loved, surrounded by new friends who actually resonated with her and living in a city that matched her soul. Was it magic? No. It was purgation physics. Pain as proof, not punishment. Here's what you need to hear. The pain you feel right now isn't evidence that you're broken. It's evidence that you're growing. Your nervous system doesn't always understand growth. It's wired for survival, not expansion. So when the purge happens, your body interprets it as danger. Anxiety spikes. Sleep shatters. Your stomach tightens. But what if you could interpret those signals differently? What if you whispered to yourself, "This is just the purge. This is just my frequency shedding what doesn't belong." Suddenly, the fear loses its grip. The chaos stops feeling like sabotage. You recognize it for what it is, a recalibration ritual. Why surrender matters. So what do you do during this purge? The most radical thing of all, surrender. Not the kind of surrender that means giving up, the kind that means trusting the physics. Think of a snake shedding its skin. The snake doesn't panic. It doesn't scream, "Oh no, I'm losing myself." It simply wriggles, trusts, and lets the old layer fall. That's your role right now. Not to cling, not to fight, but to allow. Because forcing, gripping tighter, only makes the purge more painful. The hidden gift of chaos. Here's the irony. When you stop resisting, you discover something beautiful hidden in the mess. Clarity. You realize that the relationships falling away were never really aligned. The job dissolving was never truly your calling. The beliefs shattering were never really your truth. Chaos is the universe's way of cleaning your windshield. Suddenly, the road ahead is clearer than ever before. The science of release. Even science backs this. The Institute of Heart Math has shown that when your heart and brain fall out of coherence, when you resist what is, you experience biological stress, cortisol spikes, immune function drops, perception narrows. But when you breathe, allow, and lean into coherence, your physiology shifts. Stress hormones decrease, brain waves synchronize, and your body begins to heal itself. Translation? When you surrender to the purge, your biology literally transforms. The invitation. So if your life feels like a demolition site right now, don't run. Don't hide. Don't assume you're cursed. Instead, pause, breathe, recognize. This is purgation. This is the physics of your upgrade. And if you're resonating with this message, I want you to do something bold. In the comments, write, "I am being upgraded." Because declaring it anchors the shift. It tells your system, your field, your entire biology, this isn't death, it's rebirth. Closing the scene. So here's the takeaway for Per Day 2. The chaos is not random. It's coherence physics at work. You're not being tested. You're being trusted. Your life isn't falling apart. It's falling into place. Stay with me because in Per Day 3 we'll step into the strangest part of all. The holy void. That eerie stillness after the purge when nothing seems to happen. Most people panic there. But if you understand what's really unfolding, you'll realize it's the most sacred space of all. For now, remember, you're not cursed. You're being cleared. You're not failing. You're being upgraded. And the purge, that's proof you're already on your way. If you're ready to stop resisting and start embracing your purge as preparation, hit subscribe. Because this isn't just theory, this is a journey, and you don't have to walk it alone. You've survived the purge. You've walked through the demolition zone of your old life. Pieces of who you thought you were are lying on the floor like broken glass. And now, silence. No job offer, no new relationship, no aha moment or spiritual fireworks, just emptiness. This is the part almost nobody talks about, because emptiness feels terrifying. Our culture tells us if nothing is happening, you're failing. If you're not hustling, not producing, not grinding, you're wasting your life. But what if this emptiness isn't failure at all? What if it's the most important stage of your transformation? The misunderstood pause. I want you to imagine something. A caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly by slapping on some wings and calling it a day. It literally dissolves inside the chrysalis. Everything it once was, legs, body, identity, turns into goo. And for days, nothing visible happens. That goo stage is you right now, the void. It looks like nothing. But inside, the blueprint for wings is forming. This is not inactivity. This is incubation. The physics of the void. From a quantum perspective, this nothingness is actually pure potential. Think about the double slit experiment again. Before a particle is observed, it exists in a state of superposition, all possibilities at once. Not one thing, not another, just potential. That's exactly what the void is. Your old reality has collapsed, but the new hasn't been observed into form yet. You are suspended between timelines, hovering in possibility. This is why it feels weird. You're standing in the womb of the universe before the next reality has solidified. Why we panic in the void. Humans hate the void because it feels like loss of control. When there's noise and chaos, at least you can point at something. But when there's silence, the mind panics. Did I screw up? Did the universe forget me? Am I stuck here forever? I've been there. I know the panic. I know the 3 a.m. thoughts that whisper, nothing's coming. Maybe I broke my life beyond repair. But here's what I wish someone had told me back then. The void is not abandonment. It's calibration. Neville Goddard's Sabbath. Neville Goddard had a beautiful way of describing this. He called it the Sabbath. In his teachings, the Sabbath wasn't about Sunday church or religious ritual. It was the sacred rest between planting the seed and seeing the harvest. Neville said the Sabbath is proof that your desire is already fulfilled. Because once you've impressed the new reality on your consciousness, you don't need to keep checking the soil. You rest. You trust. That's exactly what this void is. It's your Sabbath. Not nothingness, not punishment. A sacred pause that proves the shift is already underway. A story from the void. Let me tell you about Alex. Alex lost his job right after starting a meditation practice. He swore he was doing everything right, visualizing, affirming, staying positive, but the job never came back. Weeks turned into months. He panicked. He thought he'd ruined everything. But here's what he didn't realize. Alex was in the void, the pause between worlds. One night, instead of panicking, he did something different. He surrendered. He whispered, I don't need to know how, I just need to know it's already done. And for the first time, he slept peacefully. 2 weeks later, out of nowhere, an old colleague called. A new opportunity opened. Alex realized the pause wasn't failure. It was preparation. The void had been weaving threads behind the scenes the whole time. The practical shift. How to handle the void. So what do you do when nothing seems to happen? Stop refreshing reality like it's an inbox. You don't dig up seeds to see if they're sprouting. You water, you wait, you trust. Feel the void without labeling it as failure. That ache of silence, that's not evidence you're broken. It's the womb of your new life. Anchor into coherence. Use your breath. Slow down your nervous system. Each inhale, imagine you're inhaling possibility. Each exhale, imagine you're releasing doubt. Reframe the question. Instead of asking, Why isn't anything happening? Ask, what new timeline is calibrating for me? This shift in perspective changes everything. Science of stillness. Even neuroscience backs this up. Studies on the default mode network, DMN, in the brain show that when you enter states of rest, daydreaming, meditation, deep stillness, the brain reorganizes. Old neural loops dissolve, new connections form. In other words, when nothing is happening, everything is happening. The brain is literally rewiring to match the new frequency you've chosen. The invitation. So here's my invitation. Stop treating the void like a punishment. Treat it like a privilege. If you're in the void right now, you're in one of the rarest, most sacred spaces a human being can occupy, the space between worlds. And if this resonates with you, I want you to anchor it right now. In the comments, type, I honor the void, because naming it changes it. What you honor expands. Closing the scene. So ends with this truth. The void is not failure. It's the Sabbath. Silence is not absence. It's recalibration. Nothing happening is actually everything happening. Stay with me, because in Purdy 4, we're going to talk about the mastery of surrender, the art of not just surviving the void, but thriving in it, the place where trust becomes your superpower and coherence becomes your compass. For now, breathe. Honor the silence. Recognize you are not stuck, you are incubating, and when the new reality emerges, you'll see why this sacred pause was always necessary. Sources you can explore if you want to dig deeper. Neville Goddard. Lectures. The Sabbath. Default Mode. Network and Brain Rewiring. National Library of Medicine. Quantum Superposition. Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. If this message lit something up inside you, subscribe now. Because the void isn't the end, it's the bridge. And in this community, you'll never walk through it alone. You've walked through the demolition. You've sat in the silence of the void. And now, a question rises inside you. What am I supposed to do next? The mind hates not knowing. It craves instructions. It wants bullet points, formulas, step-by-step guarantees. But in the quantum field, the manual is written in invisible ink. You can only read it when you stop forcing. This is where the paradox begins. And the paradox is called surrender. Let's be clear. Surrender is not giving up. It's not rolling over and letting life crush you. That's resignation. That's victimhood. Surrender is something else entirely. It is strength. It is clarity. It is the decision to choose coherence over control. Think of your life like a river. When you're in control mode, you are paddling upstream. Every stroke is exhausting. And no matter how hard you row, the current pushes back. Surrender means dropping the oars, letting the river carry you. Not because you are lazy, but because the river already knows the way. Even science backs this up. When you try to control everything, your nervous system shifts into fight or flight. Stress hormones flood your body. Your brain narrows its focus. You literally cannot see the bigger picture. But when you surrender, your body shifts into rest and digest. Your heart rhythm smooths. Your brain waves synchronize. Creativity flows. That's when the impossible suddenly becomes obvious. Let me tell you about Maya. Maya tried to manifest love. She made vision boards. She journaled. She repeated affirmations until her throat was sore, and nothing worked. One night, she broke down. She whispered, "I don't know how this will happen, and I'm done trying to control it." She surrendered. That same week, she felt a quiet nudge to attend a local workshop. She went, and there, she met Daniel. Today, they're married. It wasn't the workshop. It wasn't the vision board. It was the surrender. The moment she dropped control, her signal cleared, and the field responded. Surrender doesn't mean you stop acting. It means your actions come from alignment, not desperation. It's the difference between slamming the gas in panic versus driving with trust that the road is already paved. Here's how you practice surrender in daily life. Reframe discomfort. When fear rises, don't call it danger. Call it recalibration. Ask better questions. Not, How do I fix this? But what am I resisting right now? Practice micro surrenders. Choose one tiny thing today you would normally control and let it go. Notice how your body feels when you do. Use coherence rituals, breath work, gratitude journaling, meditation, not to manipulate outcomes, but to stabilize your inner frequency. There's a Zen story I love. A master archer tells his student, "The tighter you grip, the more you miss. Relax. The arrow will find its path." That's surrender. Not sloppy, not careless, focused, but relaxed. Trusting that alignment is stronger than force. And here's the trap to avoid. Don't turn surrender into another performance. I'll surrender today, but if my manifestation doesn't come by Friday, I'm taking it back. That's not surrender. That's bargaining. True surrender has no deadline. It's quiet confidence. It's knowing that if it's aligned, it's already on its way. Think of the Matrix again. When a player stops smashing buttons and just listens, they notice hidden codes, glitches, backdoors. They realize the game was never random. It was always speaking to them. That's surrender. The moment you stop forcing, you start perceiving the deeper intelligence behind the simulation. If you've been forcing reality, this is your checkpoint. Anchor your choice right now. Type in the comments, "I choose coherence over control." Because every time you declare it, you collapse a clearer version of reality into being. So here's the message of this chapter. Control is chaos. Surrender is coherence. Letting go is not weakness, it's power. The field doesn't respond to panic. It responds to your steady signal. And in the next act, we're going to answer the ultimate question. After all this, who are you now? Stay with me. Stay, because that's where the simulation reveals your upgraded identity. The moment you stop being tested and start being trusted. If this has resonated with you, subscribe now. This community is where we practice surrender together and where you'll be reminded you don't have to row upstream. The river already knows the way. You've been through the collapse, you've walked through the void, you've surrendered your control, and now you stand at the threshold of the final revelation, the moment you finally ask, "Who am I now?" At first, your mind wants to answer with labels, your job, your roles, your past story. But none of that fits anymore, because those were costumes inside the simulation. When everything you thought you were fell apart, what remained wasn't emptiness. It was presence, pure awareness. The raw observer that has been watching every version of you across every breakdown, upgrade, and rebirth. Science calls this the observer effect. Spirituality calls it consciousness. But you are the one who cannot be broken. The one who existed before the storyline. The one who will remain after this chapter closes. You thought you were being tested, but the truth is, you were never tested. You were trusted. Trusted with the exact dismantling your old self needed. Trusted with the silence that scared you enough to listen. Trusted with the surrender that stripped you back to your true signal. That is the upgrade. Not wealth, not status, not external proof. The upgrade is identity. You no longer identify as just the character in the dream. You recognize yourself as the dreamer behind the dream, the observer collapsing reality into being. Every breakdown was not punishment, but calibration. Every door that slammed shut was an exit from an outdated timeline. Every wave of pain you cursed was proof you were being prepared for a reality your old self could never survive. That's why Neville Goddard spoke of the Sabbath, the holy pause, the sacred rest where creation gestates. Because your new identity isn't born from struggle, it is born in trust. And now you carry a responsibility, not to force outcomes, but to hold coherence. Because every time you choose presence over panic, you aren't just upgrading yourself, you're upgrading the field. So here is your declaration. I am not lost. I am aligned. Write it in the comments, speak it out loud, anchor it in your body. Because the moment you declare it, you collapse it into reality. Remember, this is not the end. It is the activation. The demolition was preparation. The void was calibration. The surrender was initiation, and this revelation is identity. You are ready, you are trusted, you are aligned. And if this message has awakened something in you, subscribe now and join this field of coherence. Together, we are anchoring a new timeline, and your presence here matters.